When I mention the word respect, who comes to your mind first? I know for me, it's my parents because they raised me right. They took me to church. They taught me how to value other people, to be respectful, thoughtful, kind of other people. Um, Whatever they said they were going to do, they always followed through with it. They were always there for me whenever I needed them. And I have a great respect for my parents. When I think about the word respect, I think about a mentor. Over 30 years ago, I had a lady named June King, and she was my sales director in Mary Kay. Someone else recruited me in, and then she was my director. And she taught me how to work hard and to keep on going even whenever you think you can't. She taught me how to move past my inhibitions by doing whatever it was that was hard for me to do. She was always there. She continually encouraged me and rewarded me. And I would say she's one of my top mentors. And when you have a mentor, whether it's a coach, a teacher at school, or someone else, you remember them always because they made a difference in your life. And the third person that I would say that I definitely respect is my husband. I've been married over 40 years, and he's always been exactly who he says he is, exactly how he acts in public. He is the same or even better at home. And way too often we can't say that. I think it happens and it starts with a good, clean heart, a loving heart, a caring heart. And so, if you find yourself not having a loving, caring thought, like you do everything through the lens of love, then you need to stop and think a little bit, have a little talk with yourself and think, why is that? Is there something in my life that's happened that's made me be suspicious or not trusting or not loving or not telling the truth or deceiving or manipulating? Is there something? So, first, we have to reflect on ourselves. And you might think, it's my spouse. I can't respect them because they don't treat me respectful. Well, that takes me to just this. I have found that when I respect others, they respect me. That even goes when you're raising children. If I expect them to be respectful of me, I too want to be respectful and thoughtful of them. And that means, how would I want to be treated if I was them? That's what my mom taught me. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Now, that would be the first area of respect, to treat others the way you want to be treated. What if the world just wrapped their arms around that? There would be no more hostility, right? All right, but today we're going to look at the word respect. We are looking at unlocking respect in our marriage and building blocks of a thriving marriage. You know, we put a lot of time and work and education and learning whatever our craft is for work. I mean, it's a continual study. I mean, the world's always changing and you're always having to learn something new. But you know, when it comes to getting married, we don't just come to the relationship knowing everything. Even if you had great parents, you don't know everything because you and your spouse are two different people and you want to continually learn more about each other. You want to continually do fun things together and grow your bond because the truth is, you need to like your spouse. You need to be a likable person. Are you a likable person? Too often people are always looking at the other person and judging rather than thinking, is it me? Do I need to change? Do I need to work on something? Well, today we're going to look at the word respect. And like I said, when I respect others, they respect me. Hey, does that make me a respectable person? I hope so. All right, the first thing we're going to look at is the R in the word respect. Reliability. Being married is a partnership. You know, my husband in the early days, he worked outside the home. I taught he all day. I taught ballet in the evening to bring in a little extra a little extra money. We quickly started having children, and so I was taking care of the children. At one point, I babysat a couple of other children so that I could earn extra money. But, you know, there's housework and washing clothes and taking children to the doctor and cooking. And there's many, many things that go into a relationship. And it takes two, baby. Isn't there a song? It takes two, baby. Whatever song that is. Sorry. Breaking into song. Um, it takes two. It takes two working together. And you want to be a reliable person. You want to look at what all needs to be done. You know, he's good at this. I'm good at that. I'd like to do this, so I'll do that. And he likes to do that. And then you have to look at what's left over that nobody wants to do. Yeah, there'll be a few things. And then you have to kind of split that up. So there's not resentment in your marriage. That's going to cause some disrespect, right? You don't want to have that resentment in your marriage because one person is doing everything or responsible for two-thirds or three-fourths, and the other person just piddles in doing their little bit. So we want to be reliable. When we say we're going to do something, we want to make sure we do it. Often, when you're out in public, you say you'll do something and you do it because you're in public and you don't want to be judged. You want to appear, you know, like a good, upstanding person. But at home, you say you'll do something and you don't get around to it and you don't get around to it and you don't get around to it. I find it's kind of the same thing. I have to write it on my calendar because I'll literally forget about it. So I have to write it on my calendar so I can be reliable. My parents were reliable. You know, my husband and I have always been there for each other. And you know what? My kids are reliable. Do you see it's a trickle down effect, right? And it goes from generation to generation. E is for encouragement. Everybody wants to be encouraged. Some people need more encouragement than others. But why, if you love and care about somebody, would you not encourage them? Well, personality styles say there are some people that are naturally encouraging and some that naturally see everything that can go wrong. Yeah, it's their natural thing. They like can't help it. They see everything can go wrong. And so instead of encouraging, they find themselves telling the other person what they're doing wrong or what could go wrong. And it kind of bursts your bubble. But you know, you can replace a little bit of that with appreciation for whatever the other person is doing. So you can be appreciative. So appreciation and encouragement kind of go hand in hand, building that positive bond between people that you know you can rely on the other person, or that not just what can go wrong, but maybe they can give you a way to make things go right. And it's good to listen, right? So celebrate successes together, encourage one another, always know what the other person's doing so that you can encourage them and be a part of that as a part of their life in that. Now, S is for spirituality. Spirituality. I believe God first, career second, family third. That's what Mary Kay Cosmetics taught me all my life as I was in that company over 30 years. Still a consultant, but I was a sales director back then. And God first, that means you have a great foundation. Do you both believe the same things? If you came from two different types of religion, there might be a problem. And maybe you need to go back and look at history and research and see what is true. Because, you know, there are some religions that were started 100 years ago or a couple hundred years ago, and some religions that go back thousands of years. And does your religion teach love and kindness and thoughtfulness and respect? Maybe you're on the right track. But explore, you know, the different beliefs and values and make sure that you're on the same page with your spouse. P is for playfulness. It's important to keep some humor in life. Don't be so heavy. There's a lot of things that go wrong, but um, last year, my husband had some jaw pain for a whole 4 weeks. He was in terrible pain, and it happened to be in June, the month of our um, anniversary, and we went on a camping trip and we did several other things. And oh my gosh, I felt so bad for him. And there goes empathy, right? Being thoughtful and kind and thinking about what it would be like to have that much jaw pain. It makes you empathize, right? Um, and he had trouble sleeping. It was a rough, rough time. But guess what? We went camping for a week on our anniversary. And when his Advil was working to its very best, we laughed and we had a little fun. We went and kayaked and we just did the best we could. Humor helps. Laughter helps. Being playful helps. Some people are not playful. So I like to talk to those people and how do they create a little lightness in their life? Because it's maybe not their natural way to laugh and use humor. But playfulness keeps you connected. I mean, it's just fun. Who doesn't like to have fun together? E is for engagement. Actively participate in each other's lives, interests, in their interests and their activities. Engagement. How can you be married and continue to grow with one another? We're all going to grow somewhere. We're going to grow apart. We're going to grow closer to somebody at work. We're going to grow closer to somebody this way or that, or we're going to grow together. Are you making sure that you're growing together by participating in something fun together, learn something new together, go on a trip together? The more interest that you share, the closer you are because, you know, it's like a best friendship. Remember that best friend in high school? You wanted to do everything together. Do you still feel that way about your marriage? If you don't, stay with me on the Extraordinary Marriage Podcast because little by little, you'll start to get a clue here and a clue here, and you'll go like, oh, I hadn't even thought about that because nobody knows everything, right? I don't know everything. Nobody knows everything. And then C is celebration. Hey, let's celebrate. I mean, that might be birthdays and you have a little celebration dinner at home and a cake. Some families don't celebrate birthdays so much. Celebrate Christmas, the birth of Jesus, celebrate Easter, uh, those egg hunts, that the kids like to have at Easter. Celebrate the 4th of July. I'm here in America, so we celebrate freedom. We celebrate people, celebrating others. Celebrate together. What is life, day to day, task after task, if we don't celebrate the fun things and enjoy life a little bit? And then T is traditions. You know, planning your life instead of just letting your life happen to you. I mean, I say this from experience because I've had several years where I had my head down working on this podcast and working on helping couples that I hardly came up for air. And so I kind of, traditions change. When you first get married, you got to bring your traditions together through life as you're raising your kids. You and your spouse have to bring those together and present your own traditions to your kids. Once your children are gone, and at first they're coming back around a whole lot, and then all of a sudden one day everybody's busy because they have such big families. One of my kids has a blended family with 10 children. One has a blended family with 4 children, and one has one. So when we get together, we're like over 20 people. It takes planning. And I would encourage you to plan your traditions. What do you want your kids to remember about their childhood? What do you want to celebrate? What do you want to represent? Create and maintain family rituals and strengthen your bond. And, you share that identity, that you're on the same page. So all of these ideas coupling together. And when I respect you and you respect me, I mean, the world goes round and round and it's a better place. And what better place to start with love and respect right in your own home? Well, you can grab the Chemistry of Lasting Love. It's a free resource I have for you. And it's actually a guide where you print it out and you sit down with your spouse and you take time to each answer your top needs. Every person has 10 top needs. And as a couple, if you can pay attention to what's most important to your spouse, not what's most important to you, you want to pay attention to what's most important to them, there's top 3 to 5 needs, then you can work on doing those. We can't do everything, but we can do something. And when your spouse knows what your top 5 needs are, then they can focus on that top 1, 2, 3 for you. And when you do that, it brings you closer and closer together. So, in the chemistry of lasting love, you will find a resource where you print it and you can read through them. There are 5 recordings where you can learn about them if you like to listen while you're exercising or cooking or driving in the car. You can learn them and talk about them. And then every Friday, talk about them again, like for the next 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, because everything good takes time. I mean, think about how quickly we can make, how quickly, how slowly we make a great habit. We work on it and we work on it, we work on it. And then life changes and a bad habit starts really easy. Yeah, it does for me. I don't know about you. So you want to give anything that you want to change or you want to enrich, you want to give it time. 21 days to a new habit. You ever heard that? So you want to print this resource and go through it together, talk about it, maybe make a little chart, put it on your refrigerator. And every Friday, you need to talk about it again for 4 or 5 or 6 weeks, like I said, so that you can start to make it your own. In that resource, there is also a whole list of like 50 different kinds of activities that people could do. You might not like all the same things, have all the same interests, but if you can find 1 or 2 that you can do together, then that brings you closer together. All right, I'm Connie Durham with The Extraordinary Marriage. I hope you have learned something about respect today, and I hope you use love and respect in your marriage and in everything that you do.